Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the next edition of A Mummer Story. And before we get, oh, look, I'm losing my camera. Oh, God, we got the files going on here. But, hold on. But before we get on to our guests, I know the Mummers had a passing today, or I'm sorry, a few days ago with John Frado. Hope I pronounced the name right. So for the downtowners, from myself and the Levy family, we send our condolences. So we'll be getting on with our guests shortly and get ready for our next Mummer Story. Hey everybody, again, it's John Levy, and today we are joined with Eddie Szymborski. Good evening, Eddie. How are you?
Okay, fine. How are you?
Good. I understand that I'm in the presence of mummery greatness.
So they say. People say I'm a legend, but I don't know. I don't consider myself a legend. That's for sure. I mean, I've been involved in the Mummers for quite some time. You know, started off way back when I was like about 6 years old.
What year was that when you started?
Well, I was interested in it because my cousin, okay, was with the comics. He went with Hammond and Murray and what have you. And I was 6 years old at the time. So he was asking about what I was interested in the parade. I mean, I used to go on the 2nd Street and watch the parade with my parents and what have you. But yeah, I was interested in it. And then there was a club across the street from us called the Tasker Toppers. They used to go fancy with the Hog Island Club back then. But I went comic as a winch, like independent, I would guess you would say, or straggler, or call me whatever you wanted. And I went with him. My first parade was in 1950, going into 1952.
So what kind of awards? I was talking to your grandson, and he mentioned you were kind of highly decorated. I would rather you tell our viewers all the achievements that you've had.
Okay, well, I am in the Fancy Division Hall of Fame, okay, and I'm also in the Winch Brigade Hall of Fame, okay, and through the period that I've been involved in this parade at 76 years old, I was with the Hog Island Club for quite some time. It became its president. Okay, stayed there for about 5 or 6 years as president. Okay, then you know how we are. We kind of move around and stuff. Then I turned around and had a little disagreement with politics. Okay, within the Hog Island Club, and moved on to a different fancy club. But prior to that, okay, I went with the comics for like 10 years, from 52 to 60, and actually 8 years, and then went with the Golden Crown Fancy Brigade. I was one of the originating members of that. We started out back in 1961, and I was with that Golden Crown Fancies, okay, as one of its original members, all the way through, I believe it was 1965 or 66. Then I joined an upstart club called the Good Timers, not the comic club, with Good Timers Fancy Brigade, used to parade with the Klein Club. And from there, went to Hog Island, became its president and what have you. And basically 1976, joined the Oregon Fancy Club. I was there for about 4 years, 5 years, and then I became president of the Oregon Club. And I stayed as president there until about 1983, and moved on and to stayed as a member of the club. And in 1987, I became its captain and stayed on as captain. I won a couple of first prizes back to back and put the club together, okay, as a unit. And we won first prize a couple of times there too. So and then stayed with the Oregon Club, okay, until we basically folded up as a fancy club because the problem with the fancies was that we couldn't, fund or finance the things that we were doing. I mean, it got to the point where in order for us to do a thing, we had to basically rent garages and what have you. So Oregon moved from 12th and Bigler in a small location, okay, to a burned out property that was on 2nd Street that used to be called Three Brothers Furniture. That happened on a New Year's Day, okay. It was a fire and we took over. They straightened out the fire and what have you, and the Oregon Club bought that building and moved from 12th Street down to 1728 South 2nd Street. And it was like 5,000 square feet on the first floor, 5,000 square feet on the second floor. We stayed there until like 2 years ago. We actually left the fancy division because it was very expensive. We had a building that we bought, cost us over $180,000, $190,000, just as a warehouse to store stuff and build things and what have you. And that was up in Fishtown. And that became a problem because obviously we had to drag everything out of there every New Year's morning, all the way down to Center City, etc. So we decided it was just basically too much doing that. Nobody really wanted to carry those big suits anymore. It was, I guess you could say, crazies like me that continued to build them suits and handsome costumes and things like that. And there was only the 3 clubs left. So 2 of them folded up, and Golden Sunrise was the only one that's still parading fancy. That's about the life story of me, okay, with, the clubs. I started out comic, went to Fancy Brigades, left Fancy Brigades, went to Fancy Division, and now I'm in with the Winch Division. When we decided to give up the Fancy Division, okay, we went to myself and Vince Paley Jr., gentleman they called Bim, went to the Winch Brigades and asked them if they would be willing to accept us into their association as one of the older clubs on the street. I mean, we were just transitioning from the Fancy Division over to the Winch Division, and they accepted us. So now, the club has been parading with the Winch Division since then. And I was, the first winch captain with that club, okay. Stayed there for 3 years as its captain, okay, and then basically worked with the club to produce a couple of first prizes, okay, with the fellow who succeeded me, okay, which was Jim Paley. There's a young kid that I basically made costumes for when he was a child. So that's about life with Ed Szymborski. And I'm still involved in it, okay. I parade, and every year I continue to say, well, I'm going to give it up now. I'm going to give it up now. I'll be 77 years old in about 2 weeks. But I've been thinking about it, and I've got one thing that I haven't done, okay. I got a grandson, okay, that basically has not paraded. I call him the miracle child. It's my one son, the middle son, his son. He was told a couple of times that he couldn't have any children. All of a sudden, bingo, we have a little guy that's going to be 3 years old. So I think I might participate this year to take him on the street and go up with him and see what happens. But that's my life story, basically. I've been involved in this thing for quite a long time.
So you mentioned that you did costumes as well. Could you explain to everybody what happens when someone comes to you for costumes? Like how do you go from start to finish?
Well, being with the Oregon Club, I was very close friends with Carl and Mary Braun, a South Philadelphia costume company. And being friends with him, I learned a lot of things through Carl. Carl was like a mentor, really. And he showed me how to make, patterns up and to cut fabric and what have you. And I would sit down and sew some things. It got to a point where he was doing a lot of work. So he said to me, how would you like to do some work for me? So I started making hats for Carl, okay? And through the Oregon Club, because his shop was right across the street from Oregon. And I lived at 4th and Rittner in South Philly. I used to go to Carl's almost every other day. I would stop there and see him, talk to him, what have you. He asked me if I wanted to do Trilby String Band. So I did some costumes for Trilby String Band. Okay. I did it 1 year. I did like 60 suits for the whole club. Then I did it a second year. Okay. And with that also, I did Trilbies, and there was a couple of special mention groups that was with that were friends with Carl and myself, and they asked me to do their suits for them. I did suits for them there too. So I would say about 10, maybe 15 years, okay, I was doing suits for different groups also. And then I just basically did my own and my family suits, my 2 sons, my grandson, okay, and my own. And just, I'd say recently, I kind of stopped doing that because of eyesight. The eyes ain't what they used to be. And, kind of a fuss budget with my work. So I had to give it up. I still parade, like I said, but I'm not as involved as I used to be.
All the years you've been involved in the Mummers, what would have been your favorite performance? What year and what did you guys do?
Well, my favorite thing was, okay, when I was captain of the Oregon Club, okay, I was into building massive props, okay. For example, I had a float that was built on top of a great big Buick Wildcat, okay. And I mean, it was like 15 feet in the air and what have you. And me standing on top of it, I had pictures of different things up there too. But one thing was one year I had these big swans up there, okay. Then another year I had a different kind of bird, all right. We went as, birds of a feather and all. And the following year after that, okay, it was, I had a devil thing and I called it Nightmare, okay. And we had a great big thing up on top of the float. But the best year that I think I ever did was when we tried to build a flying saucer. And it was about 17 feet round, okay, and at least 15 feet in the air. And that sat on top of the car also. And we basically built those kind of things. I had a friend of mine, okay, who became my friend, I should say, who ran Pier 80, okay, on the river. And he let me use the second floor to build this stuff. Kenny Miley from the Independent Pier Company let me build this stuff on that pier. And when I was captain, okay, the president of the club at the time was Hirsch Paley Sr. He was security down there. So I had access to the pier at all times, okay. Mr. Miley knew it. He would let me go in there anytime I wanted to the second floor, work on things. So I built some colossal suits up on that pier, and I built the whole club up there and took it out from there every New Year's Day.
Wow.
It got to the point where we were taking up so much room that they had to turn around and put a stop to it and move us out of there. So that's why we went and bought a place up in Fishtown at that time. So,
but what would have been, like, if you can remember, what would have been one of your favorite performances?
What was that again, sir?
What would have been one of your favorite performances out of all the times you've been with the Mummers?
like I said, I think it was a captain thing.
Okay.
The captaincy, okay, of that club made me want to. I was out to win. You know, it was a thing like my time to get even. I should say. I was an issue where, you know, I made a push with everybody in the club. I wanted this, I wanted that, and I mean the club gave me full reign to do whatever I wanted. Okay. Uh, Oregon hadn't won the first prize in a while. Okay. The last one prior to me was Billy Dix when he was captain of the club. We won first, but we never did both club and captain. And then I came along and pushed it. But the best thing I ever did, in my opinion, okay, was that uh, theme with when I did back to back, it was the nightmare theme first because I had a whole group and I had the whole group dancing. And the second one, okay, was the spaceship thing, was called Aliens, okay, and I had everybody dressed. They had alien masks on and everything else, and it was one of the better performances we did.
Now, if I was to join your guys' band and it would have been my first parade, what kind of advice would you give to me?
For you joining the Oregon Club Fancy Division, I would say the best thing for you to do would be to talk to somebody there, let's say myself or what have you, and let us explain to you what each portion of that division is. There are various categories of the fancy division: handsome trim, king jockey, king clown, trio jockey, trio fancy pantomime, you know, like that. Then there's handsome costume. Now, handsome costume was supposed to be the elite of everything. There was a group of gentlemen, okay, who paraded in that category that were like competitors primarily against each other, besides as the club. I mean, I paraded with guys, I mean, they're all legends in my book because they did some phenomenal things, okay? My mentor, okay, was one guy who I think is one of the best guys in the fancy division, okay? He's built everything. And there was Billy Dix was my guy, okay? Because I always talked to him. We always shared things. We worked together. If he needed something for his suit, I had it. He got it. If I needed something and he had it, I got it. Another gentleman was Freddie Stefanovich and his son Joe Stefanovich. There was the same kind of concept. Those type guys, okay, knew everything about the fancy division, and they competed against each other, competed against me, and they always worked with everybody. They would say, you know, you need this, you need that. If you need help, I'm there, okay? Now, Freddie Steph, Joey Steph, and Billy Dix, the best friends I ever had in Mummery, and that's no lie. I had other guys who I dealt with, okay? The Paleys, good people, worked with them the same way. But the difference was that, you know, for me anyhow, is the fact that I guess I never competed against Hirsch Paley or Bim Paley as far as suits go, okay? Because I always worked with them to build them suits. The other guys I just mentioned, okay, I was always in competition with. And it was a relationship that was terrific because of the fact that we competed against each other, but yet we worked together. We were members of the fancy division. Terrific.
So when you fully retire from Mummery, what is it that you're going to miss the most?
When I fully retire?
When you fully retire, you're completely done. What is it that you're going to miss the most?
I think I'll miss the camaraderie, okay, with all these gentlemen that I speak about, okay. Some of them guys are dead now, okay? Billy Dix is still alive, but the other ones are dead. The Paleys, Hirsch is gone. Bim's still alive, but that's the most. That's what I really, you know, miss the most. The thing is, though, I believe myself that yes, I might stop parading, but I don't believe and I don't see myself ever walking away completely. I'll probably die.
I lost your guy's sound. I can't hear you. Oh, I think Eddie froze up. Eddie, can you tell your son that we lost your sound?
Oh, we lost the sound.
Oh, there you go. I got you. I can hear you now.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, what I miss the most. Okay, is like not having the camaraderie with all these people that I've spoke about, being at the club continuously, like I've been for all these years. I mean, there were weekends that I spent basically at the club, costume work, parties, and etc. Uh, arguments with my wife because I spent more time at the club than I did at home. Uh, you know, maybe I'll go away, but I don't think I'll ever give it up completely. I'll probably be part of that organization until the day I die. I mean, I might stop going in the parade in costume. Like I still put a costume on and I go, you know, like this year, I went around the hall, got out. I went up in the truck, got out of the truck, went around City Hall, went down Broad Street to about Spruce Street, and then jumped back in the truck again. But I parade a long time. But
Let's talk about you familiar with follies like bloopers and blunders? You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, not really. No.
Well, if you were like, for example, my question is, how did I phrase it? If you had any bloopers or blunders, like I don't know, maybe a piece of costume fell off, you tripped and fell. Do you have all the history that you've been doing this? What would have been like your folly, like your blooper?
Genie bottle.
I built a suit called the Get Down with the Genie, and with the suit itself was a genie bottle. It was made out of spring steel, okay, and different grades of steel, and it looked exactly like a genie bottle, and I was inside it. The plate came across my shoulder so I could lift it and carry it. Had no harness or anything, it just sat there. Well, I get in there, okay, and I'm at the judge's stand, and I slip and trip, go down on my knee. And then I got back up real quick. I had to try to get out of the bottle, okay? So it was a total disaster where I would fall. I got out of the bottle fast enough, okay? And then after I got out of the judging area, one of the announcers from Channel 17, girl come up to me and said, you almost fell there. And I said, well, come on in with me. And I let her get up inside the thing. And it kind of tilted. I thought it was going to fall over on both of us. So that's a real blooper. Yeah.
So, is there anything else you want to talk about? Did you want to give any shout outs to any bands, any organizations? Time's yours.
Well, the thing is right now, okay, I have people that have been good to me in Hog Island Club. Shout out to them. The Klein Club's no longer around. They folded up completely. The Golden Sunrise guys and Oregon is my home. It has been since 1976. And it's now a winch club. And I wish everybody well in the winch brigades. I wish the city would turn around and treat the winches better, okay? And I'll say that straight up because I feel like we're the originators of this Mummers Parade. We love all the groups that are going in this parade, the string bands, fancies, comics. We're all brothers, but I think that the winches need to be treated a lot better overall, I think anyway, than they're being treated. And that's just because that's where I started. And obviously, as I said before, that's where I'm going to finish.
Amen. And right and well said. When you talk about being treated better, is this something that we can discuss, or is it going to hurt feelings nowadays?
It becomes a political issue. There are groups out there, okay, who are competitive enough and are good enough to belong to that winch association, okay? I mean, I don't want to get into the names of the group, but they're there. They know who they are, all right? They've asked the city a couple of times about leaving the actual comic clubs, since there's only 2 of them left anyway, and coming with the winch association. The city continually says no, like they don't want it to grow, but they're doing the same thing. So that's what bothers me the most. Okay, these groups, you got one group, okay, they got like 250, 300 people. They make fantastic costumes. You got another group doing the same thing. And they're always putting the city, it's the city of Philadelphia itself, okay, putting restrictions on. They're still going to be in the parade. To me, okay, I would love to see this grow more competition-wise, etc. I mean, the bands, there's right now 16. I remember when it was 26. The brigades are no longer on the street, really, so they're not taking up time there. They're inside the show. The show's a great thing for them, okay? I was part of that thing way back when we made the show out at the arena at 46th and Market. We did that for like 5 or 6 years when I was with the brigades with Golden Crown. The winches are out on the street. If they're in the parade already, they're not going to take up any more time. And I've been trying to convince the city of Philadelphia and the association in general that it doesn't matter. They're still going to be there. So I think it would be better. It's kind of a pet peeve that I have, okay? Let us govern our own world, okay? I believe the mummers know what they want to do and how to do it, okay? I believe that the city should not turn around and try to, let's say, govern the thing. That's all. And
Yeah. Well, Eddie, it was great having this interview with you. My favorite part about it is the history of the mummery, from the string bands all the way to the wenches, the comics, like you said.
right.
I really enjoyed the history, hearing it from such an iconic person as yourself. I hope that you stay blessed. I hope you stay healthy. And, I want to thank you for all the years that you have put in to mummery, and to the viewers as myself. We thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Okay, let's face it. And looks like a very big project you've got going on. Okay.
So
All
far,
right,
so good.
have a good evening. Good luck
All
to
right.
you.
Take care, Ed.
You too. Bye.